Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Tarrasque Me Anything, the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter and we occasionally talk about D&D. My name is Will McAfee, sometimes better known online as the Arcade Wizard, and I'm joined by my good friend Ale. Say hello.
Hi.
Hey! Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the new D&D 1 playtest material that's just come out, a little bit of Spelljammer, and then just whatever else we feel like it. And we'll see where it goes from there. So, to begin, you have not read any of the new playtest material yet, right?
No, I've been kind of busy when I have Wi-Fi.
That's totally fine. So, one of the interesting things, they're starting with character origins in this. So that's the first thing they're pulling out, and everything is going to be kind of determined by your background. So they do have character races, right? But there's only a couple of traits you're actually going to get from your race. So, for instance, humans, the basic medium size. And actually, they have a small size for humans now, right? That says you can be a small human 2 to 4 feet tall, chosen when you
So
start
you
the
can
race.
play out your fantasy as a child warrior.
Well, you could be a dwarf and not be a dwarf.
Yes.
Yes, also true. I didn't think of children, but that's actually a pretty good idea. So yeah, it goes down lifespan 80 years on average, and then you gain a couple of traits. So resourceful, you gain inspiration whenever you finish a long rest, and in this new D&D 1 playtest material, inspiration is just advantage on one roll. Skillful, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. It says one skill. It doesn't have to be a class skill. It doesn't have to be something you already know, just one skill. And then versatile, you gain the skilled feat or another first level feat of your choice. I'm going to wait for you to break apart that sentence I just said.
Skilled feat?
Or another
A feat of some other kind.
first
What?
level feat of your choice. Listen to those
Er,
words.
Leveled feat?
Leveled
Oh,
feat.
they're separated by level now.
Right, when this was a big thing in like 3.5 and Pathfinder, where there'd be prerequisites to certain feats, and some of them would be a level requirement. Like you couldn't do this thing unless you were up here already. So yeah, there are leveled feats, and it does go through some of them here. But as a human, you guys start with an extra one, and kind of the idea here is going to be your race doesn't matter so much. Another thing, I don't know if you've got this pulled up and you're following along. They've completely got rid of half races. So there's no half elves, there's no half orcs, right? What they're doing instead is saying you can play any half character you want. You're just going to pick the traits for one or the other and then describe your character. So if you're half human, half elf, you can take the human traits or the elf traits.
Or if you want to get real crazy, do it like real life, set up a table and roll that genetic lottery.
That's right. That way you can be half orc, half dwarf. But yeah, the main thing here is
What would be
your
that called? A dwark?
a dork, a dork.
Yes. A mighty dork.
I think it's still just a half orc, but I don't know, man. But yeah, so the defining feature really is going to be your backgrounds, and I don't know how much you use backgrounds right now, but I almost always completely disregard them. When I
Oh
look
yeah,
for a
I only use them
background,
for the skill.
that 100% correct. I just look for what skills I want. I look for a little bit of starting equipment, and that's it. Now in this D&D 1 playtest material, it almost encourages you. It does, not almost. It encourages you to make up your own background, like choose your own adventure style, right?
Oh,
Where you can go through and you get ability scores. So when you determine your character's ability scores, choose two of them and increase one by two and the other by one. So instead of those being defined by your race, your ability scores are now determined by your background, which I think makes a little bit of sense.
yeah.
There's something to be said for the racial ability scores, but if even if you're a scrawny elf, if you've been working your whole life on the high seas, pulling ropes and buckling swashes and whatnot, you might gain a little muscle mass, you know? So I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
You might be an elf that can throw a punch.
You could be. You never know, but it's part of your background. Skill proficiencies, choose 2 skills. Your character gains proficiency in them. Tool proficiency, so everyone will start with a tool proficiency. Choose 1 tool, your character gains tool proficiency with it. And then language, choose 1 language from the standard languages and rare language tables. Right? Feat, choose 1 first level feat, your character gains that feat. And equipment, your character starts with 50 gold pieces to spend on strong equipment. That character keeps any unspent gold pieces as spare coin. And so that's the very first thing it says. It says building your background. And then after that, it gives you samples, which are similar to what we've already seen in 5e.
Right.
So I kind of like that a lot. It's a bit of a trade-off, but I cannot tell you how many times I've had players that play a race that doesn't necessarily make sense for the build they're trying to go through just because they're trying to hit a certain stat, right?
Mm. Who does that remind me of? Me.
I can't tell you how many times I've picked human just because of that bonus feat at level 1. I know that still applies. They still get a bonus feat at level 1. But there are so many times I'm like, yeah, it'd be fun to play a gnome. But I could start with a feat.
I've never played a human.
Really?
Seriously, I've never played a human.
It's the best class. You should try it.
I'm already a human. I want to be something else for a bit.
That's totally fair. Oh, speaking of that, being something else for a little bit. So this is kind of like their SRD. This is going to be their reprint of the player's handbook. And they say, kind of like, I guess, Tasha's Cauldron, like all these are suggestions. You can still play 5e like 5e. But really, we're looking at a new edition here. And this is kind of their core rules for it. One of the things they have added, if I can find it, is something called an Ardling, which is one of the starting races. Do you have any guess what that is?
Off of the top of my head, got the PBS show Arthur in my head because he's an aardvark.
It's definitely not an aardvark, but it could be, depending on your DM. So I guess they're kind of trying to like balance it against a tiefling in this, and if you read, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But let me just read this description for you. Ardlings are supernal beings who are either born on the upper planes or have one or more ancestors who originated there. Their bright souls shine with the light of immortal beings who call the upper planes home. An Ardling has a head resembling that of an animal, or an aardvark, typically one with virtuous associations. Depending on the animal, the Ardling might also have soft fur, downy feathers, or supple bear skin. The Ardling's celestial legacy determines what animal it resembles.
So they're the Anunnaki.
They're what now?
That was I believe, a name of the race associated with the ancient Egyptian mythos. You know, human body, animal head.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of, if you read it, they have kind of contradicting things to the tiefling class in here. Obviously, the first one, celestial versus demonic, but then also,
I mean, if you want to get technical, it's celestial versus infernal. They need a demon version for celestials.
I stand corrected. You're 100% correct.
I mean, it's like you got the distinction of.
I have to pause right here. I know we're on a roll, but my dog is going nuts. Give me 1 second.
You're good. I'm trying to look up space clowns.
Okay, you said you were trying to look up what?
Space clowns.
Why are you looking up space clowns?
That is now a monster in Spelljammer.
Aha. That is a great transition to Spelljammer. I wanted to cover a little bit more in the 1D&D, but
Yeah,
I think we can move over. We're a little late on this. I think a lot of people have already checked out this playtest material.
yeah.
But a couple of other noted features. Uh, there now any attack, saving throw, or ability check is now referred to as a D20 test.
That's odd.
They're changing the terminology and they're rolling it all together. So instead of this does attacks and saving throws but not ability checks, it does a D20 test or it doesn't. Rolling a 1, if you roll a 1 on the D20, automatically fails regardless of any modifiers to the roll. So they're kind of like rolling back 5Es like, hey, so the auto hit is only if you roll a natural 20 to attack. Now they're saying uh, if you roll a natural 20 on an ability check or on any D20 test, it says it automatically succeeds. And if you roll a 1 on any D20 test, it automatically fails. And that only applies to the player. The DMs can no longer crit, they can no longer auto succeed, and they can no longer auto fail.
Mm.
Oh, also,
Okay.
a player character also gains inspiration when rolling the 20 thanks to the remarkable success. That's kind of nice. I think that's a little broken, but that's kind of nice. Imagine
A little
your
bit.
barbarian rolling 2d20. He gets a success, he gets inspiration. He's just always rolling 2d20.
Yeah, it's a bit much, but then again, this is their unearthed arcana, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of this is going to get cut down and expanded upon. For instance, critical hits, weapons, and unarmed strikes have a special feature for player characters. Critical hits, if a player character rolls a 20 for an attack roll with a weapon or an unarmed strike, the attack is also a critical hit, which means it deals extra damage to the target. You roll the damage dice of the weapon or unarmed strike a second time and add the second roll as extra damage. So that means no more magic crits.
That's sad.
Also, if your weapon or unarmed strike has no damage dice, it deals no extra damage on a critical hit. Yeah, that is kind of sad. Like half the spells anyway can't crit, but if you're a wizard and you're reduced to your cantrips and you're just having to throw out firebolt, right? It'd
And
be
that,
nice every now and then to like, hey, if I hit a 20, let me roll some extra die, you know?
you know, I was listening to one of my D&D shows that I listened to updated today, and they were talking about the classes that they took because they just leveled up to level 18.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was talking about they went from the one boring class to the other boring class in their multi-class. They went from warlock to fighter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I can see how fighter could be boring, but I
Honestly,
think fighter is more of a synergy class than anything else.
I love a good fighter. I really do.
Yeah.
They are simple. I, I you know me.
Well,
Wizard is my favorite class, hands down, by
well, yeah.
far.
The thing I'm thinking about fighter is like their big thing is they can hit something with something else a lot. So
Well, not
if they,
only that, there are tons of versatility to them now, especially with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, where you can, even if you're not a battle master, you can take a feat that'll give you superiority die, right? And then you have all those fighting styles you could use. Like, there's so many cool feat, uh, battle
I
maneuver,
believe
and
there's a
fighting style
community
combo.
that obsesses about feats.
Yeah, you're right. Wiki fighter feat, right? Anyway, one of the biggest changes too I want to point out to you before we move on to Spelljammer, and I'll let you take the lead on that because I haven't really reviewed Spelljammer, is spells. Uh, this will be kind of silly, but how are spells kind of organized right now? What's like your when you think of spells in the book? How are they laid out?
By level, and by each level they're alphabetically. set out.
Okay, well, and the other thing too is by class. Each class has a spell list that they can use, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so now they're still alphabetical and they are still by the level, but there's only three categories of spells: arcane, divine, and primal.
I mean, I could understand that as an overarching type.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't do that. So we haven't seen any of the classes they've released yet. So I don't really know how they're going to do this, but I assume like wizard, sorcerer, whatever will use arcane spells. Clerics, paladins will use divine spells. Druids, rangers will use primal spells. But I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that.
What's the wild mage gonna use?
Good point.
Because, let's be honest, there's always room for chaos magic.
That's true. Hex is under arcane spells, so I guess warlocks are going to be arcane casters.
Arcane sugar babies, more likely.
Yes, yes, that's correct. Anyway, I think those are all the points I really wanted to touch on. There's a lot of interesting things in here, and I highly recommend you check it out, read it for yourself.
I will. Right now, I'm wishing I didn't read what I just read.
What did you just read?
I got the stat block for the Space Clown.
All right.
And considering it's sandwiched in between the Space Eel and the Solar Dragon, I thought it was going to be some kind of fish. No, it's it. It is it in space with a gun.
I probably could have guessed that. You know, space cloud. But go ahead and what are some features of this space cloud? Please inform me.
Okay, it's a it's a CR2 monster that speaks Abyssal in Common.
Okay.
It has no negatives in its stat block.
That's mildly upsetting. Please continue.
Yeah, it's got something here called Dying Burst. Basically, when the clown dies, it explodes to, quote it exactly, pops like a balloon, releasing a splash of putrid, corrosive ichor.
You know, it could be worse. I mean,
Oh, it does. Squeakers. The clown wears shoes that squeak when it walks. The squeaking can be heard out of a range to 30 feet. The squeaking is silenced while the clown is in phantasmal form.
that gives me a wonderful idea for a one shot.
Are we gonna play it in space?
It's just the plot of Alien, except instead of an alien, it's just Squeaker. This is a clown.
Yeah, it's got two attacks. Shock. Oh, I wonder what that could be. And ray gun.
Why? Why does he have a gun?
No! They apparently come from this place in wild space of a wild space system known as clown space.
Of course, there's a
And
clown
they
space.
used to be humans.
There's a lot to unpack there, and
Oh yeah.
whoever wrote that entry, I am deeply sorry for their therapist and their therapist.
Oh no! Oh, I'm reading more of it. The name of their deity is Thrilljoy.
Gross.
Yes. And it says that marauding space clowns feed on humanoid flesh. So yeah, they are just it.
What else would they? Do you remember that thing from like 5 years ago where like people were spotting clowns in the wild, where like clowns would show up like on the edge of the forest holding a balloon?
I think that was more than 5 years ago.
It might have been. I remember hearing like news articles about it, right? And it was like this big thing, and then like what color the balloons was made a difference, and then like how the clown had their makeup, and they were like just abducting kids and shit. Like maybe I'm making that up, but
No, just being creepy clowns.
yeah.
Awful, awful clowns.
What possesses a man to do that? I don't know, or woman, whatever.
I don't know, but if they're an official clown, they have to register with the National Clown Registry,
Mm, that I
which
don't know if that comforts me that exists or makes me less comfortable.
it's basically a room full of eggs with faces painted on them because no clown is allowed to have the same face as another clown. It is considered extremely egregious and quite faux pas.
No shit. Why do you know that?
Um, I've forgotten how I know that. As for why, I don't know either.
I thought you were gonna tell me you were registered.
No,
Good, good.
I am not a registered clown. I'm not a registered anything except maybe an idiot.
Well, once they get the registry for that, send it my way. So, all right, tell me more about Spelljammer. Let's kind of get away from the clowns. Actually, you know what? That'd be a really good idea for like a Halloween one shot too.
Yes, deal with clowns, maybe a space hamster.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be kind of dope. Anyway, let's get away from clouds here. What else you got for me?
Okay, so Spelljammer itself, when I bought it, it was like, oh, that's pretty expensive for a just a source book. It's not a source book. It is a source book, a monster compendium, and an adventure module,
Oh
all in one
shit,
package.
that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, whole bunch of stuff, including an internet meme turned into a race.
Yes, please enlighten the audience for those who don't know.
Okay, for those who do not know, how do you spell GIF
How do I spell it?
or pronounce
GIF.
it?
I I always say GIF, but I know that's not correct.
Right.
But it's
I
definitely
flop
GIF.
between I flop between GIF and GIF because I don't know. I use both. That is the whole basic point of that race. A hippopotamus race spelled GIFF, and they are not sure if it is pronounced GIF or GIF.
Did you
It
say
has divided the race into two camps of hard G and soft G.
That's not. Those aren't camps you want to be in. But wait, just back up. Did you say a hippopotamus race?
Yes,
They're hippopotamus people.
they are hippopotamus people.
Hippopotamus
They
people
are
with a hard G.
hippopotamus people with a hard G or a soft G.
God, with a soft
Oh
G.
yeah, and their whole thing is they are pretty much space mercenaries. They don't know anything about their past. They have no idea where their homeworld is. Their gods are dead. Like you could just find them in astral space, floating there. They
Just
don't
chilling.
remember who they are, and nobody worships them, so they are dead.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like there could be a lot there if they weren't leaning so heavily into the internet divisiveness.
right. That being said, their divisiveness gets into heated arguments and slight headbutting. It it rarely goes farther than slight headbutting.
I love the idea of slight headbutting. It's like, yeah, oh no,
Well,
that was a real headbutt. It was a slight headbutt, you know.
yeah, like yeah, pushing heads against each other like in the wild, like trying to push back for territory, not like a barbarian going up and smacking the wizard in the face with his face.
Yeah, totally different. The slight headbutt.
Oh yeah. I also love how they have added the wonderful concept to aspire to so many college students, millennials, and people that generally just exist now. That some races do not need to sleep anymore.
Yeah, and I mean that's great. Um, Definitely got some breakability there. You know, I talk about the coffee lock a lot.
Well, now you're just a not sleep lock.
Yeah, no coffee required. You just don't have to sleep. And for those of you who don't know about that combination, a coffee lock is when you have a wizard Warlock, excuse me, cut that out. Warlock, Sorcerer, multi-class, and Warlocks regain their spell slots on a short rest, and Sorcerers can change their spells into Sorcerer points. So what you can do instead of taking a long rest is take 8 short rests, get your spell slots back on each of them, transfer them into Sorcerer points, and then you end up with infinite spells, right? And the typical downside is you have all the complications of not sleeping, not getting a long rest, because if you do that, that kind of like messes with your flow. But with these races that just don't need to sleep,
You don't need to sleep, but you do need a set amount of hours of light activity,
yeah, that's
which
8 short rests will do that.
light activity would be, well, I'm not sure if if it says continuous hours. It's probably interpreted as that to many a DM.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would probably just outright say no. No, you can't do that. I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully, I don't
Yeah,
have to deal with that.
yeah, yeah, like the three Kreen here. I love these little ant people. Not not at all because I'm not trying to build General Grievous. You know, you got a 4-armed ant person, plays an artificer, makes some energy blades.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to go fight a general. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they don't need to sleep. They can remain conscious. They have to refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. So, the thing I've always thought about doing with that is going and, as I said, making an artificer. God, that would make the GIF thing even worse. Is if they separated on whether it's pronounced artificer or artificer or artificer.
Block them into even further camps.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just all that. But yeah, it's like if you're an artificer that doesn't need to sleep, tinkering does not sound strenuous.
That's true. That's true. And I'm thinking about it as a DM, I would probably rule that using your spell slots and converting them to sorcery points could be considered strenuous, and that's probably how I would get around that.
Yeah, it would be considered something you have to put effort towards,
Right,
like
exactly.
magical or physical.
Well, we should get to the part I'm excited about. You want to read the
Talk
one
about your
about the
favorite thing
ooze?
on there.
Yeah.
Oh, the ooze.
Well, yeah, that's where the ability comes from.
Which ability?
You know which ability.
Oh, the ability that refers to a certain movie made back in I think the 70s or 80s.
I I don't know what you're talking about, but maybe.
Oh, I could try and sing its theme, but I don't know if it's copyrighted, so I'm not going to.
I think if you sing it, it doesn't matter. It could be considered parody or fair use. I don't know. I don't even know how podcasts work, my dude.
I
We're
don't know.
winging this thing, you know.
Yes, winging it. Like an Aarakocra, but not a Kenku, because they can't fly. Losers.
True. They can talk now, though. Apparently.
Yes, yes, now they can talk. I thought that was really cool. There they are. Plasmoids. The first
Plasmoids.
playable ooze. And I think the spell or the ability you are looking for is amorphous,
Probably.
which is the one where you can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide. provided you are wearing and carrying nothing.
Yes, but that's not the part I'm excited about.
You have advantage on ability checks you make to initiate or escape a grapple.
Okay, go on.
That's all for Amorphous. Is it the shape self?
What are the features listed under shape self?
Um, as an action, you can reshape your body to give yourself a head, one or two arms, one or two legs, and makeshift hands or feet. Or you can revert to a limbless blob.
No, but that's
When
kind of
you,
fun.
yeah, while you have a human-like shape, you can wear clothing and armor made for a humanoid of your size.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. The gliding ability.
That is not the ooze.
What?
That is the Hadizee.
The I'm gonna have to pull
The
up
Hadizee
Spelljammer. I thought it
are
was the
the
ooze.
no. The Hadizee are the flying. They are the flying monkey people.
Let me double check because I was fairly certain that the ooze could flatten themselves and turn into a glider.
No, the only thing here that glides is the Hadizee because
Well,
they've
all
got
right. That's what I
they've
want to
got
talk about then.
yeah, flying squirrel arms. When you fall at least 10 feet above the ground. So this is glide itself. When you fall at least 10 feet above the ground, you can. I think they might have changed this since the last time I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Mm.
they did. They did change it since the last time I looked at this. So now it is when you fall at least 10 feet above the ground, you can use a reaction to extend your skin membranes to glide horizontally a number of feet equal to your walking speed, and you take 0 damage from the fall. You determine the direction of the glide. That is different from last time.
That's very
So
different.
they fixed the brokenness.
Oh no. Let me see if I can even find the original. Oh
I
no.
mean, to be fair, the other one was super broken.
Oh no. Yep. Nope.
Because I remember what it
This is.
was. It used to be you go 5 feet diagonally every foot you fall.
Yes. That
Which,
was correct. It used to be for every foot you go down, you could glide 5 feet forward, which was nuts, which is absolutely nuts. And what I wanted to do was get the boots of striding and jumping, which increases your jump, and then you could just jump up into the air and basically just like quadruple your movement. Oh, that's such a nerf.
oh yeah, it is. But let's be honest, that was broken as hell.
This is like a real book that they published, right? Is what's it say in the
Yeah,
book?
I don't have the book. All I have is my laptop.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find the book. No, I don't have any access to it here. Not without paying. I'm not ready for that yet.
I can always let you take a look at my stuff. I own basically all the source books. Now I just need to grab the adventures.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You don't need them.
I mean, oh, I didn't know about these.
What's up?
So, you know how we've talked about outside of the podcast your favorite thing to come out of Spelljammer, right?
Other
Other
than
than the
the game.
Hadizee?
Yeah. What's that?
The frickin' Solar
The
Dragons.
motherfucking solar dragons. Let's just talk about that real quick.
Well, I'm going through the bestiary. They also have lunar dragons.
Oh shit! Have they always had lunar dragons? Is that new? What happened?
That would be new. I think they've had something else where it was essentially a Feywild dragon, and its head was in the shape of a crescent moon because there's something to do with
Okay.
the Feywild and the moon. But this is a dragon that lives in a moon.
It lives in a. Yeah. Okay. Okay. But to counter that, the solar dragon lives in a star made of pure radiant energy.
Yes.
Pure radiant energy. It just fucking lives there. You want to fight a fucking solar dragon? Bring your SPF 1 fucking million.
Oh yeah. It says right here they're stellar incineration. Any creature that enters the star or takes its turn inside the star takes 132, that's average, 24 D10 radiant damage. And any
24 D10.
a creature that is within 10 miles of the star or inside it is blinded
That's
unless they have
crazy.
something to shield their eyes, such as the goggles of night or similar form of eyewear. Wear your shades. Oakleys be damned.
That's fucking right.
So yeah, it's just you basically just gotta Top Gun this, wear sunglasses into there, and hope you don't burn to death.
Pretty much. And now tell me how the lunar dragon compares to that, because I don't think it does.
Well, it turns out they both have the same armor class, which is nice. I didn't look at the CR because I looked in the wrong spot for that. There we go. A lunar dragon is way less threatening.
Yeah. Fucking
Oh
lunar
yeah,
dragon. Like I'm
lunar
sure that
dragon.
would be a fun encounter too. Especially, if you have like a Twilight cleric in your party and you're trying to like, maybe you're building a whole
Well,
campaign about the moons and like a red storm or something like that.
they're
A lunar dragon could be cool, right? But it's not a solar dragon. That's all I'm saying.
right. It's more of a dragon that lives in a moon than a dragon that has been affected by where it lives.
Right.
So it's like this is still a very corporeal dragon.
Exactly. It's not made
As
out of
a
pure
freaking
radiant energy.
yeah, no, it lives inside like a solid moon. So if you really want to get around it, find yourself a Death Star and no more lunar dragon. Oh, I just looked at the Solar Dragon's breath weapon. It's called, and you're gonna love this, Photonic Breath.
Oh yeah.
It is a flashing mote of radiant energy that travels to a point the dragon can see within 240 feet of itself, and then blossoms into a 40-foot radius sphere. It is a sun fireball.
Hell fucking yeah. Is that not like
You gotta
one of
be,
the coolest fucking things you've ever read in your life? That's all I'm saying.
oh yeah, it is a sun fireball. It learned from the wizards. It is a dragon that can cast fireball.
Yeah. Fuck you. It's a solar dragon.
Oh yeah. It also cannot have its mind read.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it does not provoke opportunity attacks.
Yeah. How do you even fucking deal with that? You don't. You don't fight a fucking solar dragon because you can't live on a fucking star. You're gonna take
You
124
run.
damage on average every round, and it's gonna chase after you in your stupid little metal astral sea tin can of a spaceship.
I haven't even looked at the ships yet.
Yeah,
Let's see. What
that's
kind of ships do
probably
we have?
more like if I were to run a combat in Spelljammer with a solar dragon, it would be the dragon versus the ship.
Oh yeah. And there are, looking at the ships here, two names that I recognize. And that is the Squid ship and a Nautiloid.
Describe these
because,
for me.
well, for anyone that's played the Baldur's Gate video games, that, or Baldur's Gate 3 specifically, I have not played the others yet. I probably won't. Um, but yeah, they are the ships of the Illithids, the mind flayers, which it looks like they're back and going to be a problem.
Oh yeah. Well, I figure for a big astral sea space battle, you're gonna get some illithids. You're gonna get some. Um,
Well, yeah, I mean that's where the Illithids are from, is the astral plane.
you're gonna get some abominations, some aboliths, maybe some.
Yeah, but yeah, taking a look at this campaign that comes with it, it's a 12 chapter campaign. I don't know if that's long or not.
It depends on how the chapters are written.
Yeah, I mean it's like a part one, part two, part three, part four. So who knows? I don't even know what level structure this is set for. It says each chapter is designed to be 2 to 3 hours.
Okay. So that means you could probably run the whole game in 12 sessions. That's not bad.
Um,
It's kind of short,
yeah,
actually.
that's actually the idea, is completing it in 12 sessions.
All right. What you got?
The inspiration for this adventure, the 1980 film Flash Gordon.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, been playing this, watch Flash Gordon. Just like Ted, and I haven't watched that movie in a long time, so I don't remember Mark Wahlberg's character's name. But yeah, that's generally the feel of what Spelljammer should be, is Flash Gordon. And man, is that cheesy. Oh
No,
boy.
that's great. That's totally
It's
great.
wonderful.
I fucking love that. That's exactly what you want.
It's just, basically you're going to be some guy from a football team. That's my character. You are Flash Gordon.
Pretty much.
Uh,
So, was there anything else you wanted to talk about with Spelljammer in mind?
I mean, Spelljammer itself, I just like the idea of being able to travel astral space. Because that seems like a good way to tie in one campaign to another. Like, if you're done with one setting and want a really interesting way to go from one setting to another, sure, you've always got dimensional portals and that sort of thing. Or you can travel by space, make a little adventure about going to your next adventure.
True. Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit. You kind of wanted to use Spelljammer as like a hub to connect different adventures.
Oh, yeah. My epic idea. Not because it's an epic idea, but because by definition, I think it would be considered an epic.
That's right. It's an idea about an epic. And
Yes.
when you were describing this to me, because you were talking about having like a little hub and like the astral sea laid out before you, and then like little different points where you could hop into different adventures, I could not help but think of Kingdom Hearts, where you start
Yes.
out and you have your gummy ship and you travel to different Disney worlds and fight monsters.
Yes.
Which
Spelljammer gives us the opportunity to make Kingdom Hearts in D&D.
Spelljammer
Except,
makes Kingdom Hearts a
Donald can be a
reality.
useful wizard.
That's right. Donald can be your wizard. Goofy can be your paladin. um, yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited
What would
about that.
Mickey be? A warlock?
Probably not. Mickey is probably Eldritch Knight because he's mostly melee, but he's got some magic.
That's true. I mean, he was a sorcerer's apprentice for a little bit, and that didn't end well.
No, it did not. No, it did not. Yeah,
So it's like he's at least multi-classed one level into sorcerer.
yeah. Well, and then Sora can be whatever you want, basically. But yeah, I think he's
Well,
probably closer to a
honestly,
warlock.
Sora is almost always some version of fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, the reason I say warlock is because he kind of gets a hexblade at the beginning. You know, he
He
knows
does.
nothing about this keyblade. It just pops out of nowhere, and then it's like, all right, fight fucking monsters.
It's his packed weapon.
It is his packed weapon. So that's why I say warlock.
And it does explain some of the magic he can use. So yeah, Sora's a warlock.
Yeah, and at least when I play Sora, other than Cura, I don't do much magic.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a healing spell, what more do you need? I know healing spell and punch.
Yeah, that's all you need. He can kind of fly. He can glide. He can fucking glide, though. We need to bring gliding back. Those old rules for gliding, they're so good. Well, and they inspired me, too. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back to Spelljammer here.
All right, go ahead.
When I read those rules, I was like, that makes so much sense. How come in none of the games I've ever ran have I even thought to include some sort of glider? We could have like an airbender staff, right? You can jump off a cliff and get to your destination much faster. It could be useful in combat scenarios, and it doesn't exist. And it was a little
Or
broken with the 1 foot equaling 5 feet, but you can tweak that a little.
yeah, and then don't forget the idea that I came up with that. It's like, yeah, you could just get a bunch of people together, make a bunch of essentially firebomb city.
That is true. He wanted to get a fireball necklace and just glide over
A whole
his city.
bunch of them. Just start dropping them.
Like, okay. But,
I mean, to be honest, that's a pretty fun way to destroy a city.
it could have been great. It could have been great. But they saw what they did and they rolled that back real quick.
Oh yeah, they're like, no, that's not good. I mean, they said something else about the Hadizee. Apparently, they were kind of racist, and it's just like, oh, I didn't read much into it. I just saw the glide and got stuck on that.
The Hadizee are kind of racist.
There was this big thing about it, because the Hadizee themselves came from like the original Spelljammer made back whenever that was,
And they're
when
based
things
off
were
of
not
flying
as
monkeys from Wizard of Oz, which are kind of racist.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. They weren't as forward thinking, and it's just like, didn't think about that at all. Mostly just thought about the broken game mechanics of, moving a lot of feet in one round, every round.
That's true. I can say I was definitely very distracted by the bewitching allure of being able to jump 10 feet and then glide 50 feet and then still have
Yeah, so,
movement left over.
yeah, 150 feet left over. Yeah, because it specifically said, does not count for your movement.
Does not count for your movement, yeah. It
Yeah, this
specifically
was
said
like,
that. That was tasty.
it's like, that's dangerous. You're going to have people jumping off of cliffs and making it halfway around the planet.
Yeah, that's nuts. Anyway, we are coming up to about the 50-minute mark now. We don't want to make these too long. Do you have any thing you want to say in closing?
Well, back to what I talked about before we started all of this. I looked up the origin of the Tarrasque.
Oh, yes. Please.
Yeah.
Indulge me.
Oh, yeah. It is a French medieval legend. Give me a second here while I pull up the name of the saintess that it was associated with. Saint Martha.
Saint Martha.
Saint Martha. She tamed this beast called the Tarrasque, and what I can tell you from looking at the pictures of it is, it looks more like a dragon turtle than anything. The only thing the Tarrasque we know took from it is its name and added one R. There is nothing in common.
Hmm.
Like a Tarrasque, the French Tarrasque, has a poison breath and apparently ate people who ever annoyed Saint Martha.
So they looked at the word and they're like, oh, that sounds like it could be a cool monster.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool monster because it's like it's a dragon, it's a turtle, it's a lion, it's got bare feet.
That's true. That is true. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't have any closing statements per se. I will kind of wrap it up here. I will say in general, because the podcast is called To Ask Me Anything, we would love to answer some submitted questions. Of course, the show is kind of new, and we're kind of new to making any sort of content on the internet. So we didn't have anything for today, but we did make a Twitter. You can find Tarrasque Me Anything on Twitter. That is at Tarrasque MA. Good luck spelling it, but that's what it is. And you can go ahead, give us a follow, tweet us some questions, and then if this isn't the only episode we do, we'll answer them in the next one.
Yeah,
All right.
that'll be kind of fun, and I can talk about the stuff that I forgot to mention this time, like displacer bees.
The displacer bees. Yeah, we'll
The
we'll save it.
displacer
We'll
bees.
save the displacer bees for next time.
Okay.
All right. Good night to everyone. Ale, wonderful talking to you.
Yeah, this has been fun. Hopefully, we'll meet again next time.
See y'all in the next one.
Bye.